Ta-da! Here we are. We're back. We are covering a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued now. This is 3:27 on April the 3rd, and we are refreshed, renewed, and ready to go. But we do not want this storm. This is a big hailer coming out of Murray County, and this sucker has some big hail with it. All right, we've already seen some reports of it down there. There's your new polygon. This is for severe thunderstorm warning that takes it all the way through Williamson County and all the way up into Davidson County and Rutherford County as well. So this polygon includes a good chunk of Williamson County, including Franklin, Leapers Fork, Sullivan Farms, the Ag Center, Page High School, Thompson Station, Spring Hill, and all the way up to Nolensville. So I'll say this, if you live in places like Nolensville, Franklin, I would go ahead, if you got a little time, go ahead and get anything inside that you don't want to get hailed on. This is a big hailer, all right? So let's go look at this and see what we got going on. This is a supercell storm, which is the mode of weather we've had over the past 24 hours here. We've got these supercells that are developing, and this one is right on a boundary. All right, so I know it's hard to see, but you see just a faint gray line here, and this faint gray line is running right through the middle of the storm. All right, and I won't go too much into this, but this boundary is feeding this storm. Just like, I mean, it's like a leaf blower into a bonfire. All right, it's just feeding oxygen into the bonfire. That's kind of what this boundary is doing. So we really had two supercells earlier. The northern one sort of got cut off and sort of died off as far as the severe threat goes. But this one down here, I'm telling you, it's got a lot of energy with it, a lot of moisture, a lot of lift, and this boundary is running right through the middle of it, and it's creating some big hail sizes. Okay, so
good grief!
I know we're looking at radar's estimating the largest hail sizes we've had in any storm over the past 24 hours. This thing is estimating. I don't think hail's this large, but radar is estimating hail 4.25 inches in diameter. That's huge. We don't get hail that big here. Okay, and so I don't think it's that big at the surface, but it's the biggest numbers on radar we've seen in any of the storms we've had recently. So this is something to pay attention to. So if you've got, if you're out ahead of this and have any time, if you get into these purples and especially the whites here, if they move up your direction, we're looking at a pretty devastating hailstorm as far as if you just happen to be under that small area. Probably be pretty gnarly. Actually, the Weather Service says that listen up, Thompson Station, Spring Hill. It's time to put those cars in the garage. Yeah, some hailers coming your way, up to 2-inch size hail, possible there. That's what we've seen in the pictures. So we've had some reports coming back in from like Lewis County, Hickman County, Perry County, and we've had some easily 2-inch hailstones that have been reported there in those areas. So we would expect something similar here, and like the Theta community, Boston, Thompson Station. David, this could be up your direction.
I'm ready for it. I've already garaged the two cars I care about, and left on the driveway the one I don't, and closed the garage door.
We won't ask questions.
It'll do what it does.
It'll do what it does.
That USAA will be pleased with my decision.
Okay. Well, I've got a truck, and my truck doesn't quite fit in the garage, and so the back about 3 feet of it is sticking out, and so I suppose the tailgate will get the brunt of this one if it comes my way, which it looks like it is. All right, so severe thunderstorm warning, and this is in effect until should have looked at this. Let me see here. This is until 4:15, so about 45 minutes for this warning, and this warning is going to cover this thing as far as getting out to Nolensville and then beyond. So it covers it. Those of you in Antioch, Creve Hall, Brentwood, all the way down to McKay's Mill, Page High School. You guys right in there. That's kind of where this thing is headed. And what it kind of looks like it's doing, it kind of looks like it's sticking to the boundary. So if I had to guess, all right, if this boundary didn't move anymore and it stayed where it was, I would guess that the hail core would go like between Page High School and Franklin, downtown Franklin, and then maybe like between Triune and Nolensville. If I just had to guess, because look at this. Here's a 3-body scatter spike coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very strong. When you see this kind of the spike coming out of the storm like this, that is a very clear indication the radar is hitting some very large hail, very dense hail up there in the storm. Yeah, see all that blue? That's all what we call 3-body scatter spike.
It's nerd for its hailing.
It's nerd for its hailing. We really don't get those signatures around here very often. Some of our larger hail storms, we do get this, but that's fairly rare to see in this area. So pretty big hailstorm there, and we'll be watching that come through. So let's talk about reports for a minute. Will's not in here, but we are still taking reports. Graham is going to help us out. He's over running Instagram. He'll be getting those reports on Instagram. Send a DM there, and Graham will get those reports over to the Weather Service. And then for us over here on the X side on Twitter, use hashtag TSpotter. You know the drill if you've been around a while. Hashtag TSpotter, compare to the size of a coin. If you've got a coin big enough for the hail that's going to come through here, it would be, you might have to compare it to something else you have around that's bigger than a coin. Gosh.
I just sent out, I just retweeted, Andrew, a photo that somebody took from Santa Fe, Jeff Marsh, and he's got a really nice photo of the supercellular structure. So if you were going to look at the storm and see what it's got a big old shelf cloud on it. That's it right there. It's got what they call a shelf cloud. It looks like you can put something on the shelf there on that cloud. There's no indication that there's a tornado associated with this right now. However, we're sitting here looking into the Weather Service chat, and one of the leader of the office over there is saying, 2-inch size hail, quote, "We would not be surprised if there's some tennis ball size hail with this storm." Oh my God. I wouldn't either. I mean, it's a huge hail core. So, let's call out where this is going, Andrew.
Yep, let's do that. So it looks like the strongest hail core is going to go kind of right around Boston, between Boston and Thompson Station. Thompson Station, I think there's probably a good section of Thompson Station that's going to get this hail core, especially right around 840 in Thompson Station. And then that hail core is going to kind of move up to the northeast. It looks like the Ag Center, right there around the Ag Center, Ladd Park, Page High School is probably going to get this hail core. And as it moves off to the northeast, I would bet that it kind of does this line here, kind of where this green line is. This is a flash flood warning, by the way. This is not indicating where the hail's going to go. This is a flash flood warning boundary, but just use this as an example. I think it might sort of follow along this green line, okay? So that's just my guess, and it could shift either way. But like I said, this thing is feeding off of a boundary that is just feeding it incredible amounts of energy and moisture, mostly moisture. It's feeding an incredible amount of warm air and moisture. And this storm is just eating it up. So that's why our hail sizes are so big, and I would expect we have some wind in there as well. Velocities aren't incredibly impressive, but I would expect that there's probably some wind in there, just as all of that mass of ice and everything comes down. There's probably a little bit of wind. So let's go up in the atmosphere here, and let's kind of look and see. Looks like it's still healthy. We're looking up here at about 27,000 feet, just kind of looking to see how it's behaving. And still a decent hail core up there. A lot of ice suspended.
Meaning when the ice is suspended due to the strength of the updraft,
It's just going to keep
as
growing. Yeah.
as it's suspended, ice continues to stick to it, and like a snowball. When you roll it, it gets bigger,
Yeah.
and then eventually the size of the hailstone is too heavy that the updraft can't support it. Kind of like when you watch the lottery with the old lottery balls. And they have the little updraft that keeps them suspended, and then when they turn it off, they fall down, or when they fall over the side of the little updraft, the little ping pong ball goes down. That's kind of what's happening. Not kind of, that is what's happening. But on a massive scale.
Should come to one of our school talks. That's exactly what we do. We use a ping pong ball as an example there. It's fun times. Not when it happens in real life. This really isn't nearly as fun as the school talks are. But somebody says they're getting some small hail even now in Leaper's Fork. Gracious.
Man. And let's talk about when you combine that with the winds that are in there, that are, even if they're going 40 or 50 miles an hour, not only is this ball of ice the size of a golf ball or even bigger, falling from 30 plus thousand feet at the rate of 9.81 per meter squared, which is the rate something falls on the Earth, according to physics, if I remember that from the 11th grade. Then it hits, and then the wind blows it. So not only is that, you've got a strong wind just pummeling that, and so that's when it can break. It can dent cars, it can break windows. And I've never lived in Texas. Well, I haven't lived there long. And that's the kind of stuff you see where it can break the little patio table glass that you've got. It does a lot of damage. It can puncture a pool cover or a trampoline. It's pretty legit. So, hey, Will, how you doing, man?
I am good. Just came back from surveying possible tornado damage out in Gladeville.
That's out in Wilson County, huh?
Yeah. Looks like we got a soup here.
Yep.
Yeah, Supercell that we've been watching for a while. There were actually two for a while there, and the southern one kind of took over. And very classic textbook looking Supercell. As this thing's moving into Williamson County now, so would expect right along 840. There's probably some unhappy drivers right there around Boston, between Burwood and the Burwood exit, and up toward the Pinewood Road exit. Probably some unhappy drivers there, as they've gotten caught in a big hailstorm, and so that's going to be unfortunate. Really, anybody out there driving, not just 840, but really any of these roads out here leading up into Franklin from southern Williamson County, Thompson Station. So anywhere you see this purple, and even as somebody said, even from somebody said even in Leaper's Fork, they're already getting some small hail. So this thing's obviously throwing hail out of it. The hail would be smaller up here in Leaper's Fork. The largest hail would be down here in the Boston Thompson Station area, and be pushing toward South Franklin and the Ag Center. Somebody asked for a wider view. Let's look at the wider view. So this is really the only storm of concern right now. Some of these others could develop into something else and get a little bit stronger. Right now they're behaving, we believe. No indication there that they're misbehaving.
They are side lobing.
This is the only storm that we're concerned about right now, is this one right here. So looks like again the purple area here. Let's go in, look at the hail view. Yeah, I can see some hail falling up there in Leaper's Fork. So it looks like some hail there in Leaper's Fork. I think I just saw the word Burwood. Quarter size in Thompson Station at Burwood. Yeah.
Getting lots of pictures coming in of this storm, and it looks
very photogenic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that a song?
Yeah, that was
a song.
My wife. I apologize.
Oh, she's got a nice
voice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe Graham can give her some lessons.
Yeah. So this has, for some of y'all just getting here, this has a classic Supercell look. This looks like all the storms we saw last night. that looks like what you often see for tornado. This is not a tornado storm. This is a rotating supercell with a large hail core. There's no evidence of a tornado occurring. But the Weather Service is watching every scan that comes in very closely. They're watching multiple radars. And now they're going with a tornado warning. Here we go. She just came across. All right, there's going to be a tornado warning here for Williamson County. I'm assuming it's going to be right where that hook is down there. So if you're in Thompson Station, time to take cover. If you are in...
Who has socials right now?
I do.
Okay.
I'm taking replies and reports.
Okay.
Yep.
Just want to make sure. Yeah, so it's a little bit tough to tell. Looks like they are going with a tornado warning here. So a tornado warning coming out for Williamson County, and this will probably be for roughly the same area that that we have the severe thunderstorm warning for. And there it is right there. We'll see it pop up here on the map here in just a second. So tornado warning for Williamson County. And come on, here we go. There it is right there. All right. So tornado warning for Williamson County. I'm going to turn off the flash flood warnings for a little bit just because we want to worry about the tornado warning here. This is for Williamson County, and it includes Thompson Station, Spring Hill. So you guys in Thompson Station and Spring Hill, you don't have a lot of time because the area of concern here, they're concerned about this hook down here on the bottom of the storm, and that is coming right on top of you here in the next minute or two. So you guys in Thompson Station, Spring Hill, go ahead and take your safety precautions now, and go ahead and get to your lowest level, interior room, closet, bathroom. There in Thompson Station, Spring Hill, away from windows, and just let this thing blow on through. Just go ahead and do it. Let it blow on through, and it'll be out of here in about 5 minutes out of Thompson Station, Spring Hill, maybe 10 minutes there. But let this storm pass on. We'll let you know when it's out, and then looking on down the line, we're looking at places like the 840 65 Junction, the Ag Center, Page High School, McKay's Mill, and all the way up to Nolensville. So if you're in Nolensville, heads up, storm coming in the next half hour or so that could potentially have a tornado again with it, and some large hail. So that's what we're watching here. Let me pull up TBNA, and let's see what TBNA is showing from a velocity standpoint down there. And boy, it's messy and muddy.
Yeah, the explanation for the tornado warning is that there's a wall cloud that has been seen. It's been photographed a couple of times. The rotation doesn't look perfect, as Andrew has been saying. Weather Service saying the same thing, but there are backed winds that come in. And when we have backed winds like that, with a very juicy air mass riding that boundary that we did not have earlier this morning, that's way too many yes probablys to not warn this thing. So let's go ahead and get lowest level interior room.
Yeah, around Page High School, around the Ag Center, the subdivisions there in South Franklin. You guys are going to get a hailstorm regardless of whether you get rotation involved in this. Those of you in Franklin, especially south of 96, as far as downtown Franklin goes, those of you down south on Lewisburg Pike, Columbia Pike, all that, hailstorm incoming for you guys. In fact, it looks like it's taking more of a northward turn now with that hail core, so that might come right into downtown Franklin, actually.
All right, I'm going to go take a little evasive action myself.
Okay,
we'll be tornado. I'm going to send one more tweet. Y'all take it until I return. I'll go ahead and turn off my camera.
Okay.
Graham, I'll take the con if you'll take on replies and reports.
Remember, guys, buffer is working.
Sure.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Vaya con Dios.
All right. The hail core looks like it's kind of moving north now. It might impact areas even in downtown Franklin or even maybe in the west sides of Franklin. and areas like McKay's Mill, Sullivan Farms, Ag Center, Page High School, Arrington, Triune, Trinity, Burke Hollow. All you folks, go ahead and take your safety precautions. Lowest level, interior room, closet, bathroom, and those are places where you want to be right now to protect yourself from this very photogenic storm. I mean, this thing has, and that's not to say go out there and check it out. That's to say it's photogenic in ways we can kind of pick out some parts and pieces of this storm and sort of see what's going on. So here's a look down. I can kind of tell where this is. This is right over the GM plant down there. It's just south of 840. So that's right there around the GM plant, and you can kind of see that structure there. Very classic Supercell structure there with that storm, and there are some concerning trends with that storm, and they decided to go ahead and issue a tornado warning for it. And so it few concerns that the Weather Service is noting here, that they wanted to go ahead and issue a warning on it to be safe with this. So back to radar here, we'll look at where it is, where it's going, and it looks like hail sizes may have come down just a little bit from where they were. Still large, but it looks like maybe hail sizes have come down just a little bit, and that's great. So, tornado warned Supercell coming through Thompson Station, the west sides of Spring Hill, or really all of Spring Hill, up toward the Ag Center, Sullivan Farms, McKay's Mill. It'll cross Murfreesboro Road there in Franklin pretty soon, and we'll head up toward Nolensville. So if you're in Nolensville, you've got about 15 minutes or so before this storm starts affecting you in Nolensville. We're getting a lot of pictures now of this thing, as it really has a pretty unique look to it for storms here in Middle Tennessee. We just don't get these classic supercells much like this, and it's really something to see for us down here. But this is something that we want you to take cover from, especially if you are in southern Williamson County inside this red polygon. So let's talk about who's in and who's out of this storm. And so if you're in Nolensville, you are inside this tornado warning polygon, go ahead and take shelter if you're in Nolensville, all the way back to McKay's Mill, Page High School, all the neighborhoods east of Franklin along Murfreesboro Road, and the Ag Center, Ladd Park, Sullivan Farms, Thompson Station. As far east as College Grove. I think it'll stay north of 840, though, here in just a little bit once it crosses 65. But it'll be close, but we think that's true. Downtown Franklin about to get a pretty decent hailstorm, so I'm going to pull up a couple of traffic cameras here. Let's see what we can find. All right, so this is around the Goose Creek bypass, so we'll check that out here in just a little. That may actually be a little bit. That's actually going to be a little bit too far south. So let's take a look at a different one here.
Be the one by 65 near Henpeck.
Yeah, this is the traffic camera right here near. This is right in the hail core, so this is going to be right there near Southeast Parkway, Columbia Pike, right on the south near Downs Boulevard. There's Williamson County Funeral Home there on the left side. So definitely some heavy rain. I would say for sure some hail coming down in there. All right, tornado warning continues for Williamson County until, this continues until 4:15, so about another 10, 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes actually. And looks like the pictures we're getting some $half size hail reports coming in from northwestern Murray County. Out there where hail sizes were pretty large a little bit ago. And so it looks like those, those hail sizes are pretty big. All right, so if you're inside this polygon here, this red box, then you want to go ahead and take cover. You want to be in your safe place. Go ahead and get to the lowest level of your home, interior room, a closet, a bathroom. Basically, what you want to do here is you want to get as many walls between you and the outside as you possibly can, and make sure you got good shoes on, that sort of thing, in case you do have any damage that you need to get out and walk on. But it looks like basically the hook part of this storm is going to be the part that they're most concerned about. And again, the rotation that the Weather Service has been mentioning here, it's not perfect, all right? This is not a textbook tornado circulation that as far as the rotation goes, but there were enough qualifications in this storm, some of them scientific based, some things that they know scientifically about how these storms sort of operate, these supercell storms, where they knew that it could develop a tornado pretty quickly. It was in a good environment to do so. And so they went ahead and issued a tornado warning on it. So and we'd rather than do that, rather than do it last minute when they know there's a tornado in there. They want to get that word out ahead of time, obviously. So Sullivan Farms, Red Wing Farms, Ladd Park, Williams County Ag Center seeing that hail core now. And that is, you can see that pretty classic shape there of that supercell, and you've got this comma shape down off to the southwest of it, and that's what we're watching for indications of rotation that could indicate tornado. But so far, nothing standing out just as far as an absolute sure thing. Tornado on the ground. We're not seeing that at the moment. Seeing some huge hail reports.
But nevertheless, absolutely something you should shelter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hitman County got some very large hail there. Not surprising at all. Seeing several down from Murray County from Theta. Seeing some pretty decent ping pong ball, golf ball size hailstones there. Let's go down here and take a look at a TDOT traffic camera or two. Here's a good one. This one is at 840 in Lewisburg Pike. You can really see the base of that storm. Hard to tell exactly which part of the base we're looking at there, but a good shot of it there. Let's back out just a little bit. Once again, let's look at this polygon here. We got tornado warning continues till 4:15, and again, this runs right up to the Nolensville area. So if you're in the Nolensville area, McKay's Mill, Page High School, all you folks need to be sheltered. Lowest level of your home or business, away from those windows. Interior rooms if you can, depending on where you are, but do the best you can with that.
Moving right towards Page, isn't it?
Yeah, looks like it. This is 840 looking eastbound toward I-65, I believe. And you can kind of see the lowering in the clouds there. This is, again, we're looking at toward the 65 junction from Yeah, from further west there toward Lewisburg Pike. We're looking eastward, I believe.
Get some ETA.
Them some low clouds, Will.
Yes, sir. Those are the lowering LCLs we were worried about earlier.
Yeah, and they're moving pretty good too. I'm kind of tracking some of the movement there. Those clouds are moving pretty quickly. Tornado warning continues for Williamson County. And Will, it's entirely possible I'm going to need to.
You absolutely are. So I'll take.
So whenever David will be back by then, he'll be good to go here in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we're just going to need a wide radar shot from you.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Or actually, I can share up. Nah, that's fine. Just give me a wide shot. Latest radar update right on top of page. That's got to be false echo.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But around 100%. It, still getting this pretty decent wind.
Yeah, that's definitely side lobe contamination there. I'm watching the trees here on this TDOT camera. Yeah, the wind's really whipping down there, right there along the, right underneath those lowered clouds, actually. So I'm seeing the trees really whipping.
Yeah, look at them.
Wow.
Look at this pole.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of wind.
That is a lot of wind. That's more than I would have expected. That's a lot of wind. That explains why the clouds are moving so quickly there.
Do we have a Perry camera there at Page?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing. That's not video.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Man, those trees are moving. That's a lot of wind there, guys.
Whew.
Look at that. Look at the interstate. Man. Look at that. Look at those sheets.
Oh my gosh. This thing's no joke.
And look at the
No, it's not.
Still see the lowerings coming through there too.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're around Page High School, Nestledon Farms, Arrington, Burke Hollow, Triune, yeah, this is kind of heading that direction. That's a good bit of wind. That's really whipping the wind there. Yeah, their Weather Service just acknowledged some side lobe issues there with the velocity wheel. They just mentioned that in chat. So that's something we've got to watch. Let's back out. We got a couple of other. We were actually looking west there. This was actually looking west. We were looking right at the end of that hook there. We're looking west at the I-65 interchange on 840, looking west. Strong storm, guys.
Yep. Look at that.
Look at TB&A down there. Yeah, tough to tell. Right in there. This is bad data up here. Don't pay attention to any of that. But this right here is what we'd be looking at, and it's just it's tough to tell. But that was clearly some strong wind that came through there. Right at the end of that little appendage on that storm. So right in here is where we saw the camera's located right there. Ooh, I think I may be starting to get some hail.
I believe it. Rotation's kind of broadened. Yeah. Did you pull up TBNA?
Yeah.
Is that it?
No, this is it right here.
You see spin?
Not really. It's not really.
Cool. Just
It's
making
not
sure.
really defined.
Yeah.
Not really defined.
But some big pixels in there.
But it's a tough. See these storms that have been south of 40 have a horrible angle on the radar.
Yeah.
If these storms were up north of the radar site, which is right here, if these storms had all been up here in like Robertson County and Montgomery County, we'd have a completely different read.
We'd be looking right into them.
Right into them. Right now, we're dealing with all these what's called side lobing issues here, because the radar is kind of shooting through the hail to the side of the hail of all of these storms, and it just makes it atrocious as far as a radar presentation. It makes it very difficult. See, like this stuff. I mean, that's atrocious radar data. There's nothing there, and so you have to sort of pick out what's real and what's not, and that's a challenge. Well, when you're pushing the button and issuing warnings, that's a challenge to be able to.
High top's got a look.
Yeah, high top would have a look. Let's go down and look at that. Shooting a lot further away, but let's see what it's showing.
6,000 feet.
Oh, that's not terrible. So there's our storm right there from lower resolution. Yeah,
National Weather Service is going to reissue that warning.
They're going to reissue the tornado warning?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, cool. All right, so they're going to reissue the tornado warning for probably as it moves east. So it'll probably cover part of Williamson County, but more so to our east as this thing comes through. So, all right, I'm gonna pull up a broad radar shot. I'm gonna jet, and I will be back once this thing passes me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. All right, Will, you got a broad radar shot there. Is that good with you?
Thank you, buddy.
All right, I'll be back shortly. If I can find my controls here. There they are. All right, I'll be back.
All right. So, as we've all said, rotating wall cloud possible with this storm moving into Nolansville. Getting some photos in. Graham, what have you seen since you've had reports?
Seeing a lot of hail pictures. We got some quarter-size hail reported in West Franklin. And lots of pictures of this behemoth of a storm.
It is a big storm. Classic Supercell presentation. It's got that kind of hook appendage that you see just east of the fair. Looking at it from another radar further south that actually has a little bit clearer of a picture. Not seeing as large a hail core as we saw originally, but it's still possible to get quarters. I think, golf balls were possible earlier. Then as it moves east, the potential for that rotating wall cloud to lower towards the ground and create a tornado goes up. It's running alongside a boundary, and it's got some favorable conditions. It does appear to be broadening out, however, but as we've talked about lots of times, those storms can cycle, right? So it can broaden out and then move and gain some momentum, pick up some speed, gobble up some more energy, and that rotation can tighten up as it's moving across the ground, right? So we're watching for that, watching velocity information that's coming in from the TBNA radar in or near Nolansville. Watching those velocity scans like a hawk, just trying to see if it looks like anything's going to wrap up. Right now, no indication, certainly no photos of a tornado, but these are the kinds of storms that can easily produce a tornado.
It's generally not looking as strong as it was. Overall, reflectivities have come down a bit.
I agree. Yeah, lightning has slowed down.
Lightning slowed down. Yeah.
But the Weather Service.
What is up?
What's up? How was that?
It was exciting, but it looks like from my place the area circulation kind of came over and nothing happened. We got a lot of hail.
Mm-hmm.
The dogs thought we were going on a WALK, and so they're wanting to go out in it. But it looks like just from my spot, nothing happened, but it was that was definitely some supercellular motion. It's weird when the hook part comes, you can see the sunlight.
Yeah.
As you can look at the hail kind of starting to fall out. I didn't get a very good look at it because, of course, we were lowest level interior room. But where I live, which is south of Franklin, the threat has ended, and we have emerged. And I know Andrew has gone into shelter, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah. And
So what's going on, guys?
Yeah, we're talking about this storm moving east. It has broadened out. Reflectivity has come down a little bit. Circulation has broadened out. Still very possible that there's a rotating wall cloud. Lots of photographic evidence to support that in replies and in NWS chat. So we've got kind of a broad image here of the radar. David, if you want to keep us on that, and I'll go back to driving the socials.
Okay, Will, you have the con. Yeah, no problem. So this storm came over my place, and the winds were probably the least impressive part of it. It was the hail that was coming out of it that was the most impressive. But we've got a lot of photos of what looks like a wall cloud, what looks like a lowering, and the way the supercell has ridden over the boundary and the way the winds are moving on it, a tornado could be happening, and we may not even be able to see it. It may even be under the radar beam from where we were. So the Weather Service has issued a tornado warning. This tornado warning is now for the little hook part of this storm, which is now near Trinity in eastern Williamson County. That's near, looks like it's going to head towards Burke Hollow. Now, the parent part of the storm, kind of if you're looking on the screen there, the red part that's going towards Nolansville, all this is moving kind of to the east-northeast, which is to the right and up a little bit. It'll head into Nolansville, but the tornadic part of this thing is going to be that appendage that's sticking down over kind of by Bell Chase Farms and by Trinity. So if you're in Burke Hollow, you need to be in shelter. If you're in Nolansville, go ahead and take shelter, especially for those who are near Nolansville High School. If you used to be my college roommate and you named your kid after my daughter, not really, but we share the same name. That family that lives near Nolansville High School, let's go ahead and get into your lowest level interior room. We aren't confident there's an ongoing tornado, which is to say there's no obvious evidence that there's a tornado, but there's so much happening in this storm with a supercell, a hook side, the way the winds are moving, the wall clouds that we've seen, the lowerings that we've seen, the structure of the storm are all things that tick off the things that you worry about before you issue a tornado warning. And so that's why the Weather Service went ahead and went with this. This tornado warning is going to continue towards Burke Hollow, and it should be in Nolansville, I'd say. Let me track that here on off screen here on my software. It looks like it'll be near Nolansville High School any minute now. And then it should move out of Williamson County and kind of clip the extreme southeast edge of Davidson County, over by where the TBNA radar is, if you know where that is. So just north of Nolensville. So if you live off of like Burkett Road on the southwest side of Davidson County, if you live near Carruthers Road out there, not the part near Franklin or Cool Springs, but out near in southwest Davidson County. I'm sorry, southeast Davidson County. The storm should track right over there. But it looks like from the radar data we're looking at here, that storm is going to be, it's actually closer to Nolensville than it shows on Andrew's screen. What we probably should have done is had Andrew loop his video. There it goes, just updated. There it did loop. So you see it's right near Nolensville High School. The hail core is over near Sunset Elementary and over by the Nolensville Town Hall. And then the hook part of the storm is right near Burke Hollow at this moment. So if you're in Franklin, the tornado warning threat has ended. You were under actually consecutive tornado warnings, but the tornado warning threat for Franklin is over for this particular storm. And just like earlier this morning, there are more storms back to our southwest that we'll have to watch. The storm is, let's get an update here from the Weather Service. So go ahead and look off screen. And we've got a view from a TDOT camera from a long way away showing a bunch of these clouds with lowerings. And the idea is you've got there's some people, we got a report from a ham radio guy who says that that the cloud has touched the ground but has no debris via amateur radio, which is kind of matching what we see on some of these cameras as a wall cloud lowers.
Yeah, check out Slack.
Yeah, in Slack. Are you talking about in NWS chat or in our Slack?
No, our Slack. Our Slack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, here's a photo here from South Spring Hill. I'm taking a look at it. And man, it looks like
it's a video.
It's a video, really. Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like I can't play the video here. It looks like you took a chisel of Mount Rushmore's nose and just stuck it on the ground. This thing looks like it's scraping the ground. I can't tell if it's rotating, but this photo here is something you need to see, Graham or Will. If you want to go ahead and share that on socials, you'll hear what we're talking about. One of the things we can't do is control Andrew's computer from where he is, or from where we are.
I tweeted it.
Yeah, so if you want to take a look at that photo, go ahead and look on X. There's a retweet of what looks to us like a wall cloud. It could be what we call scud, but in this environment, I would expect anything that looks like that could be rotating and could be producing a tornado. But I don't see any classic evidence of a big tornado on the ground at this moment. The TBNA radar is not much help because there's a lot of range folding, a lot of noise and static kind of with the radar. It's the best way to describe that. But this storm is currently, the latest update, near Nolensville proper. And it's going to move kind of over near Creekside Drive, over near Cowan Drive, over near Oak Creek Drive, in that neighborhood that's just to the east of Nolensville's Town Hall. And then as it pushes out of there, it's going to cross over McFarland Road, which, as y'all know, is basically the border between Williamson and Davidson counties. And then it's going to jump over to Battle Road. This area rotation and lowering looks like it'll be near Carruthers Road in southeast Davidson County as it moves its way towards Laverne, which is where this thing is going. It looks like if we continue it on its path, it's going to maybe try to turn into Cane Ridge. I don't know if it's going to go quite that far north, but it looks like it might get into Burkett Road and then to the Old Hickory Boulevard. Of course, every road in Nashville is Old Hickory Boulevard. But for those of y'all who live in Cane Ridge, know where that is. It's the one that kind of connects or intersects with Cane Ridge Road, just on the other side of Laverne. And then there's a little neighborhood. Looks like it's October Woods Drive is the main drive. There's a little neighborhood there that this will pass over. So if you live in that neighborhood, so you're going to be in the path of this rotation. New radar update is in. And the storm is now out of Burke Hollow. It is currently in Nolensville proper. It looks like most of it is going to pass north of Nolensville High School, which is suggesting the supercell's turning a little bit to the left and going a little bit further north.
Yeah, it's hitting cool side of a boundary according to NWS chat.
Yeah, so that boundary that was popping it up and bringing the giant hail numbers in, it's now north of it, and it's starting to behave differently. But this is quite a photogenic storm, just objectively, but it's also a dangerous storm because it's in a highly sheared environment. I'm hoping that because we're getting a little bit on the cool side of this boundary, that it'll be more difficult for the storm to maintain its tornadic characteristics. But that's just a hope. For now, we're worried about it getting into Cane Ridge. It looks like it's in Nolensville now. It's going to turn into Cane Ridge and go between there and Laverne. So if you're in Cane Ridge, if you're off of Burkett Road in Davidson County, Old Hickory Boulevard, and near Cane Ridge or Cane Ridge Road itself, you're in the neighborhood of where Octoberwoods Drive is, and near kind of Laverne.
Tornado warning's gone.
Let's go ahead and take it. So did they cancel it?
Yep.
They just canceled it. So it looks like once it crossed that boundary and got on the cool side, it was going to be very difficult to maintain its structure and its updraft, which is really, really good news. So,
yeah.
Andrew, what was it like as it went kind of close to your place?
Yeah, so the lowering, and the lowering that we've been seeing in the pictures, all that went over my house about 2 minutes ago, and it was not rotating, which is good. We always, the lowerings they're either rotating wall clouds that could produce tornadoes, or they're SLCs, which are scary looking clouds. It's a technical term, very scientific. This one looked more, when it came over my place. Now, we've heard reports it was rotating further to the southwest. It was definitely an SLC. There was no rotation with that lowering as it went over. Yeah. So,
good.
So that's good. So, but yeah, it definitely looked a little ominous. I went out and checked on it just for a little bit to look. I've got a fairly good view to the southwest. Wanted to get a view of it to be able to let the Weather Service know what they were looking at. And to be totally honest with you, I think that's the first time probably since we've lived here that I've actually walked outside in a tornado warning with the sirens going off and actually experienced a storm for about 3 minutes.
Don't try that. Don't try that at home.
No, don't try it at home. But we're usually in here doing this, and so it's kind of odd walking outside. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we're
this feels
in some ways the most ignorant about what storms are doing because we're looking at the splashed radar.
Yeah. So we're looking at radar, but it was before it got to me, and I could still have a view of it. I wanted to give a little bit of a storm spotter report to them, let them know what it was doing out there. So anyway, I think we're good from that cell. It looks like it has definitely slackened off. Now we're gonna have to watch these a little bit more. Say that boundary, guys. Do you think that boundary looks like it's right down there in far southeastern Williamson County? So it looks like the boundary is right down here around College Grove, Bethesda. So what that means is that the storms that sort of cross that boundary, like this one did, once it got on the cool side of that boundary, it really lost its fuel. So the fuel of the storm was really being on that boundary, and all of that warm, moist air just being lifted directly up into that storm. And it had everything it needed to produce large hail and be an intense supercell. Once it crossed that boundary, it kind of had its legs cut out from under it. And so that's kind of what we expect with these storms up to the northwest, like Ashland City, Davidson County, up the northern part of Davidson County. They're heavy rainers, but they lack that surface support and that real that feeding that those storms need up there to produce hail and tornadoes. So we'll have to watch these. Poor Selmer, bless their hearts. Got another severe thunderstorm down there, and then. They got hit by a big tornado last night. So we'll be watching that cell as it continues to the northeast toward us. But I would expect that most of the severe weather would occur from like Murray County, a line from Columbia, Murfreesboro, Watertown, and to the southeast. But we'll just have to. It's too close to call, so we'll just have to see as they evolve over time and see how they behave. So, all right, guys. Well, let's. I think we're all clear for now, and we'll watch these other storms that continue coming in.
See y'all later.